man of the
Hello,
hour.
everybody. How
Hello.
are ya?
Very
Good,
well.
good.
I wanted to follow up with you guys. Several of you and Nick, we can I'll make sure you get taken care of before you jump off.
Awesome.
You guys remember we were going through some of the lead scoring stuff a few Mondays ago, and
Yep.
I was having trouble getting HighLevel to allow me to use a custom value in when we were setting a number custom field, and it was just popping up as E. I don't know if you guys remember that. I'll show it, but I figured out what the issue was, and I just wanted to pass around with you guys and show you guys that really quick.
Yay.
And so I'll show you this here. Let me share. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yes,
All right.
sir.
Alrighty, so let me go back here real quick. And I'll just give everybody a refresher on the workflow here. And this logic ended up making it into our database reactivation module. And so for everybody that has right now, just it would either be the small business bundle or the win back bundle that we sold recently. Both of those have the B004 in them. And so we'll be sending out an update here within the next, I'm not exactly sure on the exact timeline yet, but potentially this week, maybe early next week, to all of the small business modules. So you guys will get new links for everything. There's also going to be a bundle that we're building that's going to have all the modules put together into one snapshot link. And just so you guys know too, we're going to be changing things up a little bit where everybody that purchases new that comes in through the door there, we're going to go back to giving one link for the new people, but we're still going to have an option to come in and get like each snapshot link, but it's going to be kind of like a special program that people have to opt into. And we're gonna require there to be like a little bit of a baseline knowledge of HighLevel before you kind of like are able to get into the advanced builder program, in which case we'll then like give all the module links out. But hoping to make it a little easier for new folks, just coming in to HighLevel, getting everything in separate snapshot links for each module is turning out to be really good for the people that are more advanced with HighLevel, but it's been more of a struggle for people that are newer to HighLevel. So that's why we're going to switch that up. But all that to say, there's several like small bug fixes that we've made to several modules. The funnel licensing is an issue that's been causing some problems for people. So that's going to be patched in all of the funnels. And this logic that I'm showing you right now is in the B004. So that'll be an update that you guys get to that module as well. So anyway, jumping into it. So the issue that we were experiencing is when we were going to and let me just get rid of this real quick here. So when I was going to increment a math value, you guys probably remember. So, this is the math action and workflows. And so what we're dealing with is a numeric custom field. So a number-based custom field. You guys probably remember that we have like several different types of custom fields we could use. We can do a text-based custom field. We can do a monetary custom field or a number custom field. And so we're trying to deal with the number custom fields because those are the custom fields that we need to use if we're incrementing number values. And so what we're trying to do in this Oh wait, hold on. Somebody is feeding back. I'm gonna mute you real quick, Clark. And sorry about that. So what we're trying to do in this one is we wanted to basically pull in. We wanted to be able to set like a global lead value and a custom value. So that way in the system, someone could say, okay, like my leads are worth, you know, $1,000. And then from there, we wanted to be able to take that $1,000 that's in the custom value. And then any lead that comes into the workflow, we want to set their lead values, their baseline lead values at $1,000. And then we can adjust that $1,000 and kind of lead score them based on like where they're at in the flow. So to be able to do that, we need to be able to take the custom field, which we start by setting that to 1. And then the idea is that we then multiply that 1 by whatever the number is in the custom value. And so if we go here to the custom values, this is the issue I was experiencing before, you guys probably remember, is I have a custom value in and I was like, why is it not showing me the custom value? I do not understand. It was driving me crazy. And so what I did was, you know, I was like, well, I'll just copy and paste it, right? So I just grabbed a custom value key. And so then I was like, well, I'm just going to paste it into that.
There's no custom
field.
value in it though. Was that why?
Yep, that is why. Yeah, so if there's not there, so if you're dealing with a number custom field, there must be a number in the custom value. Like you can see if I try to paste it in, you guys are just seeing an E, but I did a copy paste. And so when I try to paste it in, it just gives me an E. So I was like, why is it giving me an E? Like I couldn't figure it out. And to your point, Heidi, it's because there's not a number actually in the custom value. So if we go back to the custom value and I go ahead and set like the lead value to 1,000. Now we go back to the automations. Now the custom value will actually show up. And if I paste it in, it's still going to give me an E for some reason, and I don't know why, but we can just click on it here and it'll put it in. So that will solve that problem. And so just so you guys can kind of see behind the hood, I'll show you, this is in the, you know, the win back that we just released. And so this will be the B004 updates that we'll send out. And the win back folks still need to receive an update with a few of these changes, which we're going to send out, or we might actually be just making the update directly in the accounts too. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, the win back people will have these updates. But what we're doing in here is when the SMS outreach actually runs for the database reactivation. So the first time that someone comes through this SMS outreach is where we set the custom field. Actually here, 1 second. Actually needs to be multiply. Aha, I just found a bug. Okay. So we set the custom field to 1. Now technically this could also be 0. And then this could be add. And so in fact, let's just change that. We can we don't actually even need this one anymore. So we're just going to add whatever's in the custom value to our total lead value, which is a custom field. So we basically take the custom value, we put in the total lead value custom field. So now that contact, we know what that contact's worth in the custom field. And then we start playing around with the numbers a little bit when they start replying to the database reactivation campaign. And so if we go down here, you know, we have there's essentially an intent that runs first. So it checks the intent of the reply. And you guys probably have heard me say this before, but the intent check in high level can be a little unpredictable sometimes. And so this is why we have kind of a stepwise approach. Specifically, when I say unpredictable, like it's gotten more accurate in the sense that recently, in the sense that it seems to do relatively good identifying negatives and positives on the intent check, but there's a middle quadrant, you know, which is the basically like it doesn't know what intent it is quadrant, and that's where you know, that's typically like your biggest lane to fall for, you know, because like if you know that it's positive, then it's like, okay, so we have a potential sale here. You know, if you send out a database reactivation and you're listening for a reply, if it comes back positive, like that's a pretty good indication that we might have a sale on our hands. We just need to kind of nurture that over the line. If it comes back negative, then it's like that could also still be a sale opportunity, but the very least, you know, that, you know, the disposition, like you don't have to spend a ton of business resources trying to get those people over the line. But the biggest zone that businesses normally have issues with is the like, hey, we don't know where they are lane. And so anyway, so what we have in here is potential questions. And so if I dive into this, you can see that we're listening for specific keywords that would normally be included in a question: who, what, when, where, why, how. And then we also have no, not interested, no, thank you, just as kind of like a double negative in case the negative intent check didn't pick up on that. So if it's a negative, you know, we're sending them over to the negative lane. If it's a question, they have their own lane. And then there's just, you know, still don't know what intent they are. It's not a question, it's not a negative. And so in each of those situations, if it's a positive, we're going to basically multiply their lead value by 50%. So like if we set the custom value as $1,000, we're going to take that total lead value, which is now set to $1,000, multiply it by 50%, and then we have their lead scored value. And the lead scored value is going to be now 50% of the 1,000. So they're not worth the full you know, $1,000 yet because they haven't sold. When they sell, they'll be worth $1,000. But this is some of those sales tactics. You know, Grant Cardone talks about this a lot with his with the way that they kind of look at sales, which is like you make, you know, 10 cold calls. One of those is going to close. Let's say the one is $1,000. So instead of looking at all the other 9 as a 0 value and the one that closed is $1,000, you take that $1,000, you distribute it over all 10. So now everybody's worth $100. So it helps to kind of understand like you know, the value of every message you're sending out, the value of every call you're making, all that kind of stuff. So some people like to do this different. That's just the way we're doing it right now with the lead scoring. So anyways, we then take the lead scored value that's getting incremented here based on the replies. And in the tag router, where all the opportunities are being created, that we have the lead value, basically the lead scored value that's then going into the opportunity pipeline.
You ever have
So that
problems
one-
with those spaces?
What?
Do you ever have problems with the spaces? Like when you had the lead value in there the first time it had spaces because it was just copied and pasted in?
Oh, right here.
Yeah, if there were spaces, there was just a
Between-
space before and after. And I think especially with URL or something that, yes, like that.
I don't think in most places in high level it will work with or without the spaces. The only exception that I found so far is when you're dealing with URLs.
Okay.
There can't be any spaces in URLs, so that would also go for trigger links as well as like you know, hyperlinks, like anytime you're dealing with the URL. But for whatever reason, and the rest of high level, they've made it to where like some places have spaces and some places don't. I don't exactly know what the logic is there, but anyway, so that's just wanted to pass around with you guys on the math stuff there with the custom value, because we had left that one open a little bit, so I figured you guys would think that that was helpful. So with that, I always like to try to bring you guys one little gold nugget before we do Q&A. So we could shift over into the questions if you guys have any. I'll take any that you guys have.
That was great though. Thank you.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
good.
no problem.
Mine just on the link. Wanted to get that uploaded.
Yeah, let me just let me remind me, Nick, which ones you're having trouble with.
Sure. Give me
Was it
1 second here.
or 13? I think was one of them, maybe.
Let me see.
While you're looking, Nick, I'm gonna take Rob's question, and then
Okay.
if you want to, I have it pulled. I have our links pulled up, so just chat me the ones you need, and I'll send them over to you on the chat here.
Okay.
All right, Rob, I'll do you, and then Heidi, I'll do you right after that.
Perfect. Cool. So yeah, a couple quick ones here. In terms of the various snapshots that are offered, specifically like the workflows, right? In terms of how you guys organize the naming convention. So I just want to get a clarification on A, B, Z, and N. So I know that N is win back, right? And then Z is small business. And then A and B, I just want to confirm which two are those.
Yeah, so all of the what I'm referring to as legacy snapshots, but basically the snapshots that were built before I joined Extendly. So that would be like the old small business, the old SaaS agency, and several others. But you would see Z on a lot of those workflow folders. And that was, I think the logic there was just to pick the last letter in the alphabet so that they would be, most things in high level are chronologically ordered. So that would effectively put them at the end of the list. And so that way, any stuff that somebody added, like customizations, would be at the top, and all the small business assets would be at the bottom. So when I joined, we kind of, I took us away from that naming convention, and now the letter that goes in front of the module and subsequently all the assets in the module have specific purposes. So B stands for base. So base module. So those are basically the foundational modules that we use to build everything. And so for example, you mentioned the N. So N stands for niche, and with the N modules, you'll see a little they'll be incremented, so it'll be like N-11.1.1, for example. So that's what we used in the win back. So what that means is basically we've taken our B011 module, our base module for B011, and we've done some modifications to it for a particular niche. And so anytime that we modify one of the base modules, the letter changes to N, because we're modifying it for a particular niche use case, but it's still built on the same structure that we built the B modules with. So that's what the N stands for, is niche. And so the number after matters, because you could have, for example, like an N11 1.1, that could be a different niche than 1.0, which that's kind of like just the nerdy side of it. Not that anybody else would necessarily care about it, but that's how we track it as far as what niche we actually built them for and stuff like that. And right now we're laying all that groundwork because, you know, here pretty soon we'll start cranking out a bunch of niche modules. A bunch of niche bundles rather, and modules. And so this is kind of the system that we're using to make sure that we don't lose our sanity as we you know, have like 100 different variants of one of our base modules floating around in the ether. So
So just to confirm,
the-
B is, so, or sorry, N is a B workflow, but just adjusted for a specific niche, right? They're all just B essentially workflows, B workflows, just adjusted for a niche.
yeah, exactly. And a lot of times the main adjustments that we're doing is like copywriting, for example, like adding specific copy. We might be modifying like pipeline stages in one of the tag routers. But like, even if we just change like 1 or 2 message templates, the entire module gets incremented into an N. Like once we've touched anything, it's now no longer like, you know, we don't have parity with the base module any longer. So we have to change it to an N once we've, you know, tampered with it at all.
Got it. Okay. And then as for A,
Yeah, so A is agency only. And so there's going to be a lot of scenarios where like an agency could have a B module or an N module like living in their agency account. And that's totally fine. Like agencies can put whatever in their agency account they want. They can put a base module, they can put a niche module in there if they want. But if you see a module with an A on it, it means that there is specific things about that module that you would not want. You would not want that module to make its way to a client account. And so examples would be, we haven't actually yet released any examples, but I could tell you, for example, one that's sort of in the dev on the dev side that we've been working on is like a copywriting tool that you can use with database reactivation. And there's particular custom fields that are added in that module that are helpful to have like from an agency vantage point on your contacts, but they would have zero utility if you're like a painter, plumber, you know what I'm saying? Like any local business like that's not an agency would not want those custom fields on their contact. Like they have no utility in generating database reactivation language, for example, for all of their like painting clients, you know? So we try to identify anything that's like would potentially cause not harm, but like would clutter up a client account or cause problems if it was to make its way into a client account with an A.
got it. Okay. And then just for Z again, so that you're referring to as like the legacy
Yeah,
automations?
Z's are all legacy automations. Yeah.
Okay, and then are they still used though, or are you phasing away from them? Like, is B replacing Z now, or are you still using Z?
No, we're not using Z anymore. Yeah, B is mostly what you'll see, especially small business. The new small business is all base modules. So and then all of the micro bundles like the reputation management, contact admin, ultimate sales, those are all base modules. So yeah, we don't have any plans to use Z anymore. Plus we want to give people the, you know, some kind of ability to identify like whether they're looking at legacy snapshot IP versus, you know, newer stuff. So
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I did go with the SaaS in the box, like snapshot, and there's kind of like a combination of all of these. So I was kind of confused because now adding in like the new modular automations, it just kind of makes things really confusing on the back end when I'm scrolling through all this, right? And one thing that I know would make it so much easier if you could have subfolders within workflows, just so you can have like a hierarchy of like, hey, this is like for, you know, small business or whatever you want to call it, right? So I know it makes it complicated on your end when you release a bunch of different automations and various snapshots with various automations. It just makes it a huge hassle.
yeah, it can definitely get a little bit crazy, you know, keeping track of everything. And that was one of the challenges, that we had at Extendly before, because we use small business automations in the SaaS agency and then in a few of the niche snapshots, and like we couldn't it was hard to remember exactly what we had changed or where we had changed it and what variation of what lived where. So now we have a pretty tight kind of naming system for everything, so we should be able to keep pretty tight grip on everything, so.
And we also have a 100 times more anal QA process now too, for just making sure that everything's delivered, so that having to do a transition when we release new versions there'll always be that consistency in our naming. So when we push out new versions, there isn't that. So this is a one-time thing that, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys haven't met Michael, by the way, he's on my team, and Michael does a lot of the building on the snapshots also, and he's a genius, so and a good friend of mine. So he joined us today. So
Hey,
Oh,
Michael,
thanks,
great to
Good to have
have
you,
you.
Michael.
Thanks for
appreciate
joining
it,
us.
guys. Appreciate it, guys.
Mhm.
Takes one to know one, Zach.
We agree with that.
Man, my let me see if I have give me 1 second. My laptop's about to die, guys. Let me get I'm gonna track down one of my cables here. Hold on just a second. I'm sorry, I
Is there
didn't realize I
any
wasn't plugged in.
questions? You want me to maybe field a question if you have any more there that you could pass off?
Yeah, you want to ask your question, Heidi, and we'll see if Michael can answer it while I grab this cable.
Watch it be
Sure.
like the hardest question ever, and I'm gonna fail miserably. Well, what's up, Heidi?
I want to know the purpose and the quantity of life. Let me have you do that. one.
42. That one's really simple. It's 42. So
I
bam.
thought it was
Um,
23 on Mondays.
Possibly. Depends on the question, I guess.
Okay, the question that I had is I have two forms I send out, and just in case they don't fill out the first, they don't do the whole form, I get the name, number, and email, and then automatically give them the second form. And then I'm putting parameters in there, so it automatically will hold on to the name, the number, and stuff like that. If the office wants to be able to fill out the forms too, I know they have to take sticky contact off, but will it still work with all the parameters, or should I have them fill out, should I have two separate forms, one that the office fills out and one that the client fills out, just in case?
So just a step back for the context, because I might not have crapped out. Is this for onboarding your clients onto this, or is this for a particular snapshot that you're referencing?
Yeah, no, I'm building stuff for a tutoring company right now. And so
Okay.
I'm looking to have, I have everything set up for the client to do themselves, but they have a lot of occasions where the students call in and they want to get them, they don't want to send them anywhere. They just want to do it. So I know in that case, they can't use sticky contact. So what I've been doing is putting all the parameters in the URL. So will that work if the office is filling it out as well?
So if the office, if they click on the link with the meta parameters, so like that's a little question mark, and then you put in first name is this and all that. If you fill that in, then that will pre-fill. Yes, that will pre-fill things for you, because sticky contact is only there if you're the contact identified. So if you're clicking through a link in the email, etc. And so, yeah, you 100%, that's how you get around that, is with the parameters. And so as long as the parameters are all in there, you should be fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I should get rid of the sticky contact on there and then using the parameters. And there's a parameter for client number, which I haven't played around with. Is that a good thing to use? Because I know emails could be different.
Yeah, the client ID, I think, is what identifies the actual, that's like that more like, it's not as visible, but every client has an ID. Yes, there is one of those. So the last thing is where, so you have the parameters in, but where are you, so you're generating those parameters from the client's account and sending it to your team to fill out for them, or how are you putting those, like where are you pulling in the parameters?
Yeah, right now it's just in the forms that they fill out. So they fill out the first form from the website, just name, number, and email, and it automatically takes them to the second one where we ask them a little bit more questions. But if they drop off, we already captured their main information, and then it goes into automations. So And
Okay.
then the tutor is sent a form also like 15 minutes before the session. So all of those parameters are in it, and I want to make sure it stays.
So you jump in and you click, and then you click. Yeah. So that will work that should work, but obviously, do some real world tests and make sure that they're all set up. But yeah, that should work.
Now, would it be better? Oh, go
Just
ahead.
real quick, Heidi, we use so the parameters will populate so long as somebody arrived at the forum from the trigger link. So if they arrive at the forum from the trigger link through a client side message, meaning like an SMS or an email action in the workflow, that works fine. But to your point, and what we do in B007 is, there's an internal notification that goes out with a trigger link key in it that takes the team straight to that form and fills out the information and all that kind of stuff. So that's fine. You can use trigger links and internal notifications. But to Michael's point, just if you're passing query parameters through to the form, do not enable sticky contact, because you're going to get weird results when those are competing with each other, essentially.
Okay, so don't do both. And then as soon as I have them fill out the name, number, and email, I should put that on the next form, all those parameters, and then I should put all the parameters from that form. And I don't know that there's any really important things on the next, then the third form or the third incidence, I would have all the parameters that I need. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, are you taking them straight from one form to another form, like in the funnel?
Yeah. Yes, because I just want to make sure I capture the things that are important, and then if they don't fill out anything else, we still have their contact information. And there's only a few more questions.
Yeah, because what you can do, is have, trying to think. You could, and this is for the internal team, right? Not for the customer.
Well, mostly, yeah, because I mean the customer is going to get some information too, but yeah, I think it's mostly for the internal team. I mean, I'm putting them from the communications from one to another, just so anything that the customer sees, but it's really not a lot after that.
If it's internal team, I don't know. I mean, I would encourage you to just put it into one form or survey, because I think it's like increasing the complexity quite a bit. I mean, because you can send them another link, like another trigger link, to fill out form number 2 and take them back to form number 2. Like right now, HighLevel doesn't let us like run workflows on the front ends, like, meaning like inside funnels itself. So it's like you have to like take the form, submit, digest the information in a workflow, and then send them another trigger link to go back to form 2 for that to be like a seamless process. Or you have to not pass query parameters, and you could turn on sticky form and just go the whole way through on the front end. But to use like a multi-form, like layered system like that with query parameters is like tough to do. And so it would be better to have them separated by another message delivering, another trigger link to them to go back to form 2, or put them all together in one form, or stop passing the query parameters altogether and then turn on sticky contact. But
and then
there's
have
not
two
like a
separate
great way to
ones?
do all that at once.
And then have two separate ones, one that the office would fill out and one that the customer would fill out, and then dump them into the same place depending upon who filled them out.
I didn't track that last. Do you have one that the office
Yeah,
is filling out and
The-
one that
the
the
cu-
customer's filling out?
yeah, the client is filling it out. However, the last meeting, they have a lot of opportunity just to fill it out for the client without having them, get off the phone, and they can just do everything with them. So should I do two separate forms that just dump into the same workflow depending upon who's the one that fills it out? Because I do know that the sticky contact causes problems if the office is doing it.
is the client filling it out like at the office, or are they filling it out
No.
on their own device?
Yep, they're just filling out. They're clicking on the website. They're going just to the first form, and then they're getting like a thank you and click here to finish. So it is going to a separate button that they click onto.
Okay. But it's the same form though. It's not like a different form for the client, or you're saying it is different forms?
No, it's going to be, there's a two-step, two forms for the client and identical. Right now, the office is just planning on using those same forms to take them through. The reason I really need the parameters is after every single tutoring session, they're filling out the same form, the same exact form. So I'm doing a custom value update and then dumping the information in and, sending it to spreadsheets and reports. And so every single time this happens, like every week, they're getting the same form the tutor is, and they're filling it out with all their hours, all checklists of what happened. So I do need
Gotcha.
parameters for that.
Yeah. I would just put it in one form if I was you, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
It's the initial step, because afterwards I'm sending this out to the tutor every single time they have a session, 1, 2, 3 times a week for the same tutor. Yes.
Yeah, and if it's a problem with like too much information being on the screen at once, like you could just do a like a 2-page survey instead.
And it's all drop down. It's really easy for them to do. I made it really, really simple while getting
Yeah.
stuff that's important to the company.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Okay, well, thank you. That's good. And I also question that you had brought up with the system, the numbering system. I love what you're doing with it. If you have a B and 0, 1, 1, will that 0, 1, 1 be the same thing in every niche? Is that where that one's differentiated? Like, is the 1, 1, this, miscalled text back, let's say, or whatever other do the second numbers have a meaning across the whole platform?
Yeah, so with a niche module, there's it'll be the module ID. So I was using B011, but it could be B007 or any other module. So let's take like B007 for example. So to use the win back as an example, so it's so if you take B007, convert the B to an N, so now it's N007, right?
Yep.
And so the primary niche for the win back is SAS. And so there's also a sub niche, which is database reactivation. So with our niching system, there's always going to be primary and sub niches. And so, it could be, for example, like real estate wholesale, or like, or any other like, chiropractic decompression therapy, like a particular like sub niche. And so with the win back, it was the primary niche was SAS, secondary niche was database reactivation. So we did B007, converted it to an N, so it's N007, then .1 is SAS, and then .1 again is database reactivation sub niche. And so in the future, we'll have other SAS, we're calling them USOs, which I can't remember what those stand for, Universal SAS Offering or something like that. I forget what it stands for, but so the win back was one of those, and we'll have other things like win back, there'll be like .1 or 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 after the module ID, just identifying the niche and the sub niche.
Okay, so the first one's the niche and the second one's the sub niche. That's brilliant.
Yep.
Okay, and then what it does, like if it's miscalled text back, is that what the middle 3 numbers are, or no?
Well, the module ID itself will be essentially what it does. So like B007 is the calendar automations module. So if we use that module for a niche, like it's still going to be calendar automations, but there might be like different calendars in there, different copy sequences that we've, configured to work with those particular calendars. So like in the win back, for example, there's a launch calendar, And then there's also onboarding calendars. Like a tech training one and then a launch call. So those are like 3 calendars that we wouldn't normally have in B007. So we added those 3 calendars, added those 3 sequences, and then versioned out the B007.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let me take yours, Daryl, and then I'll come back to you, Rob.
Oh, okay. Two things. Number one, just a reminder that I sent you an email last week with regards to collateral for the white label support for videos or whatever. I sent it out last Monday, so maybe you check that.
Let me look here.
See if it went to your junk folder.
Any white label or collateral videos tutorial to help.
Yeah, we were discussing that on the call last week, and you said, yeah, I'll look into that.
Yes, I needed to ask Aaron about the demo videos here.
Yep.
That's demo. Let me ping her real quick.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then I have a question about what Heidi was just speaking to, because I've run into the same thing. So I'm trying to understand.
Glad to know I'm not alone.
You're not alone. No, actually, it's exactly the same thing. While he's pinging her, Heidi, it's the same thing, because I was trying to capture with a simple form so that I grab the contact information, and if they don't hit submit, if they do a multi-page form, we don't capture the information from, to have them in our database.
Yeah.
And that was the issue for me, is that I did the same thing where I had a simple form that captured their basic information, first, last name, phone, and email. And then it drove them to a second form where it captured more details, but trying to carry the information forward was exactly the same thing that I was running into. And so I'm just wondering, based on what you guys just answered, it sounds like you're recommending using one form, but that bypasses the opportunity to have somebody, like, for example, for me, I have somebody coming in and it's for staffing services. So if they come in and they fill out the form, I've now got their information that I can nurture, follow up, whatever. But I don't want to send them through the entire survey, or the entire form, I should say, or create a survey. I have a survey for something else, but I wanted to capture that, so it gave me their information. So there's a catch-22. If you carry their information forward and you don't use the what's it called, the sticky contact, how do you do that? So I'm trying, maybe I should speak with Heidi afterwards, put our heads together on that.
Well, so Heidi's dealing with a specific, and maybe you are as well, but she's dealing with a kind of a specific use case, which is people show up to the form already having their information pre-populated. And
Well, not
then
the first one. Not the first one. They're just coming off the website just for the name, number, and email. And then
Yeah,
I'm
the
sending
first one's
right
the
to
same
the
as
second
mine.
one.
Yeah, so if you're not passing query parameters into the form, you can have sticky contact enabled. But if you
On the
guys,
first one. Right.
yeah, and I mean, and if if you're trying to take them to like the second or third form, like let's say in a series, you can, like, if they're coming off of, in that instance, they're going to be coming off of a message anyways, so like, that being said, like when they come off of a message, like if sticky contact is enabled, like it is storing their information in the browser cookies, and so that information would have already been stored in the browser cookies when they show up, and arrive at the form, and then you're trying to pass information in through the query parameter. So I'm just unsure of which one wins. Like that's my only sticking point for that is I don't know the way HighLevel has the logic set up, if the browser cookies take precedence over the query parameters or vice versa. I don't really know. If you guys test it, let me know. Let me know which one wins.
All right. Maybe
So if
Heidi
there
and
was
I
only
will try.
3 parameters going, like name, number, and email, that would be just 3. That would be okay to send from the first form to the second, do you think? And then just remove the sticky contact totally?
I would think so. I mean, you could test it. I mean, the other thing
Okay.
too is like, you know, if it's the same information, which it would be, like whether it gets it from the query parameters or from the sticky contact might, you know, it's probably fine. Like the only thing you wouldn't want is like some kind of weird like doubling up, you know, or something, because a lot of times people that use the query parameter passing also hide those fields on a form. So like
Oh,
if you don't hide the fields and they can just like verify the information's correct before moving on, like if they happen to see something weird, then you don't have a ton to worry about. But if you hide the fields and something weird happens, like it's going to happen in the background, you know, and they won't ever know it or see it, so they don't have an opportunity to correct it before moving on. So that's the only concern there.
okay. So if I do use the parameters, take off sticky contact and don't hide any fields.
If you can, yeah.
Okay.
If you can, and if you end up using the query parameters and the sticky contact, just test it a bunch to make sure that it's not doing something funky to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think it will. I think it will do funky stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Did you hear back from or on that message you just sent or not?
No, I didn't. I know that the only video, and I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but the only video that I know that is for certain done is a demo video that we have for the contact admin system. But the other micro bundles, there's 3 videos in motion, but I would imagine that I have to probably do something to push those over the line. Which I did get your email. I apologize. I don't know why I didn't respond to you, but I did
Okay.
just message Sharon, and so as soon as I figure out where they are, I'll get those back into the flow and try to get those over the line. I also cannot remember if those were extendly branded or white labeled. We could probably, let me see if I can search for our demo. Actually, I don't even know. I'll probably want to search offline and I'll check at least the demo one that we have done to see if that one was white labeled.
Yep. That'd be
And
great. Yeah, let me know. I mean, whenever you get around to it. I know you can't do everything in a day. You've only got so much time and so many hands. So
I appreciate it. I right after our Wednesday or a Monday meeting last week, I actually went on vacation. So I just got back late last night, so I'm kind of getting back into the swing of things today. I'm
so
catching up on all my messages.
I'm not allowed to tease you, say that's totally unacceptable then, right?
You could still tease me. That's okay.
No, I appreciate you
a-
looking into that. And when you get a chance, I know if you're back on your first day, and that's always your first day or two, you catch up on all the stuff that you wish you hadn't gone on vacation because you're like, oh, geez, I gotta do this. But so when you get through that, check it out and get back to me. That would be wonderful.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
I will. I'll make a task for myself to do it too.
All right.
Wait, are you guys referring to the HighLevel or the Academy support video, or what exactly are you guys referring to right now?
No, white label for the conversation management or miscall text back.
So we had made a video, like a demo video, Rob, for the contact admin
Okay,
micro
I
bundle.
totally remember now the conversation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And we were working on videos for the other 3 micro bundles, so we're just trying to figure out where those are in the flow.
Perfect.
And also
if
if
we
they're
had-
white labeled.
Yeah, if we had those white labeled, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we spoke about that last week, Nick. That's why I had asked for it. So I'll keep you posted if Zach lets me know anything. As long as he's not going on vacation again.
No, the next trip I have planned is level up. So you guys, if you're there, you can try to squeeze me for as much information as possible during that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, heck yeah, I will.
Thanks again.
no problem. All right, Rob, let me take yours and then I will shut it down for today after you.
Cool. So one thing you mentioned at the beginning of the call was with regards to people having issues with funnels. Was that across like all snapshots, or was that a specific one?
Yeah, that's impacting all of the modules right now for the new small business. So part of like this move to onboarding engine and the new extended dash was if you guys have used any of our legacy products, you used to have to register the snapshots like manually when you bought them with the old extended dash, and so we built like an auto registration system for the new extended dash. So right when you purchase something, everything just automatically registers. And so all of our funnels are like protected with a licensing script. That there's some issues with the URL structure of that script that's in the funnels. And so we got that ironed out and figured out what was the problem, but now we need to send out an update to all the funnels just to make sure nobody's having any licensing issues. So the
Got it.
issue
And
that some people are experiencing is if when you try to open the funnel, you get like a little alert that just says, like this is not licensed or something along those lines.
okay, were there any issues with it, like the step or the page just like loading indefinitely? Was that one of the issues at all, or?
There shouldn't be, Is there a
Oh.
particular funnel that you're having that
Well,
experience with though?
so the thing is, I actually created my own funnel and I copied like a confirmation page from a different funnel just so I could use the same one, right?
Uh-huh.
In terms of scheduling, and for some reason, like I would just get like a loading screen indefinitely. So I was wondering, does that have to do with like any of the licensing things that you guys have, or what? But I don't know. I'm kind of working through that, so I was just kind of curious because that was one of the questions I had, and you mentioned it just earlier. So
So in theory, you can copy any of our funnels, and so long as they're used like somewhere in the same agency account,
Right.
they should work.
That's what
The
I
only
thought.
time you would run into an issue is if you tried to put them in a separate agency account, because we license on the basis of the agency's API key and stuff. So
The account. Right.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll look into that, but that's good to know. And then a couple of specific questions with regards to the actual appointment confirmation. So I know there's like an add to Google Calendar and iCloud Calendar and your confirmations, and I'm just curious, how exactly does that work? Is that like something like proprietary on the back end to make work, or is that just kind of like a general high level thing that you can make work?
Yeah, no, that's just those are both of those are system fields that are available when you go to like, add a custom value. And if you scroll down to the appointment object type, then like in that list of like different appointment merge tags you can add in, you'll see add to Google Calendar and then add to iCal and Outlook as two options in the list there.
Okay, and that's just straight from HighLevel, like that's a default native
Mhm.
thing. Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
I must have missed that. Cool. And then specifically for the appointment meeting location, which is one of the things that you have in that list there for the confirmation, that's supposed to be linked to a custom value, which is appointment dot meeting location, meeting underscore location. So is that something that we fill in ourselves, or how does that custom value get inputted in? Because I tested it myself and that looks to be like it's blank. So I was curious. When I tried to actually go into custom values and find it, I also couldn't find it. So I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so that's a system field. It's not a custom value. Custom
Okay.
values will always have custom underscore value dot and then the name of the custom value. But if you see anything that's appointment dot, those are all appointment related custom fields. And so the one specifically that you're talking about, meeting location, is in the calendar settings. Well, it's in a couple different places. So like if you're looking at the calendar, so I'll just go to the calendar settings and show you on the calendar level. And so let me see here. So I wonder if I have, hold on, let me do this. Let me add myself to this account real quick. Let me go back to my calendars. All right, so if I go to my calendars and I add myself to the calendar, see how down here it popped in meeting location? And so on the calendar settings, you can hard code a meeting location right here. So this could be an address, like a physical address. Like when you think about like a Google Calendar invite, you know, this is where you would normally see like the address of the actual place that you're going to. But you can also hard code like a digital meeting link in here. Like this can be your Zoom URL. And then the other thing to mention is like, if you actually have Zoom or like Google Meet or something linked, like if I do this, it's gonna tell me like, hey, I don't have my Zoom account linked.
Got it.
But if you have it linked and you select Zoom, then it'll dynamically generate a new Zoom link, you know, every single time and put it into the meeting location field. If you just leave this blank like this, then what happens is it grabs, whoa, where did I go here? It grabs the meeting location from the contact itself, from your profile. So like if you go to my profile, then you scroll down, this is where you can connect like Zoom and all this kind of stuff, connect your calendars and everything. And then you see here where it says user availability and then meeting location, like custom, and then you can hard code your meeting location here. And so you have the option to basically have like all the users on the account have like their own Zoom rooms and stuff like set up on their profile. And then so long as they're linked to the calendar, you don't have to then go and like put the same link in the calendar again. Like it'll just, if you're using a round robin calendar, it'll just pull the meeting location from their profile like into the calendar. But there is instances where it's like they already have a Zoom room like in their profile, but you want to use like a different Zoom room for that particular calendar, you know? And so no matter like what user gets assigned to it, you know, like for example, like for this extendly call, like we always use the exact same Zoom link, you know, over and over again. And so doesn't matter if I'm doing it or Steve's doing it or someone else is doing it. And so in that instance, like you would want to hard code like the Zoom room on the calendar level, not on the user level. So
Got it. And you said if you leave it blank, it just automatically pulls the user where you're at right here, the user location.
yeah, it pulls the user's meeting link from their profile.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's great to know. Awesome. Appreciate that. And then just general question in terms of documentation for the snapshots, like with all these different like numbers and whatnot you mentioned earlier, is there like a legend or a map or some type of documentation for like knowing what each specific module is like in its entirety? Just because that would be really helpful if I could refer to it like on a broader and larger scope of everything that's kind of, you know, involved with those numbers. It would definitely help me understand it more.
You're talking
Yeah,
about like all the features.
Like
Like the
1.1
features within?
is specifically like what, right? You know, both on like the B and the N. Just because it would help me like conceptually grasp it more and be able to like make adjustments or anything.
We're gonna produce something like this. I wonder if I can, let me just see if I can like open this full screen so it's not, it's kind of opening it full screen. Oh wait, here we go. So this is just like a prototype. You know, it's not real information yet. But we almost have this structure nailed down, and we're gonna do this for the small business bundle as well. But it starts out with like the organizational structure. Like these are out of date, for example, and we were gonna do it AN, BN, but now we're just doing N. So we're gonna update that stuff. But anyway, there'll be a breakdown of what the module letters mean. And then it'll talk about like the modules in the bundle with a description, of each module and what they do. And then the custom values, all the custom fields in the bundle, the tags, descriptions of what the tags do, the funnels, descriptions of what the funnels do. Same with the forms, the surveys, if there's any pipelines included, trigger links, all the workflows, little descriptions of the workflows, and all that stuff. So I think that's it. Is that it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be
so that's
super helpful.
You guys like this? Think this is a good format?
That's amazing.
100%.
Did Stephanie make that?
Yeah, Stephanie did make this. She's got the design chops.
She's she's a boss when it comes to just laying out things so easily with documentation.
Yeah, I was like, could you please help us? We need help. It's too complicated. And she was like, Stephanie to the rescue, and then she came in clutch with this design. So
I mean, in a perfect world, we would just show you guys our massive Airtable database of all this raw information, and that would be all we need. But apparently, it's good to have people who can interpret techniques and put it to the people.
Absolutely.
You guys should see our data. Have you ever shown anyone the backend? I guess that's top secret info, Zach. Our massive Airtable database of all these assets, and like we've
looked at it a few times, like mostly on like the naming conventions and stuff like that. But yeah, I try to only bust it out when totally necessary, so that way I don't blow the back of people's heads straight off.
Like a year ago, I created an Airtable documentation system for assets, and everyone loved it, but was also scared by it. And it was like a tenth of the size of the one we're dealing with here. So yeah, it's good to have people that can bring that into much simpler terms.
It did make it easier to understand, though. It was very good.
Yeah.
Good.
One other piece of feedback I want to provide, which I think would be helpful for everyone, is and I personally would love some like additional training on this or to learn, is with the tag router. Like, I totally get how powerful it is in terms of adding on your own things to your existing modules. However, I conceptually get it, but in terms of tangibly actually adding stuff to it, I still just can't figure that out. My mind hasn't like connected the dots enough. So if you could actually like either create training or one of these calls, show like an example of specifically adding something, just using the tag router to really like for us to understand tangibly how we can utilize that and build off your existing modules, I think that would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, that sounds good. We're so when we produce this bundled version where all the modules are connected together, a lot of those connection points are going to be via the tag routers, and we'll have a little list on like each of the connections that we've made, so all of those of you that have all the individual modules, we can give you the list like, hey, we've connected this to this, this to this, this to this, all the connection points, which hopefully should help to kind of, give you some better ideas. But I also, I'd be happy to like rattle off a few for you real quick if you want.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we already talked about the review one, I think a little bit, but if you're dealing with like a standard business that's not like waiting to send reviews till service completion, and they are okay with sending reviews at the end of a product purchase or a service purchase, so just whenever a purchase comes through, either at a checkout or a completed invoice, then what you would want to do is, add the B009 request review tag into the B005 tag router on invoice payment completion and checkout completion. So in both of those branches in the B005 tag router, which will just initiate the review process to kick off when there's a completed invoice or a completed payment. And so that is one.
What's a tag router? Is it just a workflow or?
Yeah, it's just a workflow. There's one tag router in every single module. It's the workflow that's in the 0, 0 position, so it'll always be at the very top of the workflow stack in every module. And
One way of oh, go on. I didn't know if you're finishing that thought up.
No, go for it, Michael.
Oh, one thing that, because we've been even refiguring out what exactly is a tag router and on our own end, and we're constantly improving it. If you want to think of it really simply as every major action that could happen or every milestone in the customer journey will usually has a tag with it, right? Someone makes a purchase, well, they could get a tag, or they need to be opted out of this thing. Well, you could create a tag. So what we use those tag routers is a place to show you all the tags in a module. And if you ever wanted to be able to create actions when those events happen, you can say somebody is just opted out and they need to be DND'd. And maybe you want some extra workflow to happen and make a message. Well, you have that tag router where you can look up the tag, and every time that tag fires that someone's been DND'd, you can add them to a workflow that will message the sales team or the owner or something. So you can think of it as all of the actions that a client could possibly take in a module, and what do you want to happen when those actions happen, which is then how you would connect other modules. In general, that's why you would connect modules to other modules there. So a lead comes in, they were opted into the lead magnet opt-in. Well, we have that tag there, so you can now say if you want any other things. Well, we now want a nurture sequence to follow up. So think of it as all the actions that a client could take, and what do you want to have happen? Hopefully that maybe helps out a bit.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been like going in and kind of really studying how you guys are building these automation or these workflows, right? And I've noticed that it is obviously tag based, which is brilliant. I was telling Zach on the last call, like the tag router is such a amazing like solution to being able to make it modular and add on to it. But what I noticed is, yeah, you guys add a tag in a workflow, and then you create a separate workflow with the steps that you want based off that tag being the trigger, right? And then the way it connects to the actual overall tag router is still a bit confusing to me. I need to look into it a bit more, but it's really amazing.
Yeah, and to be, transparent, to be fair, right? Like you're gonna see us get more, because the last couple of months we've been building these modules and we've been refining as we go. Because what you've just described is yes, the tag will fire a workflow individually, but then if you want that tag to fire the same workflow, you need the tag router otherwise, so that it can also happen. But it's cool. So yeah, and we're making things more and more standardized, and as I said, more clean. So as you said, as you get the newest versions of the small business snapshot or the SaaS one, you're going to see that get even simpler and more kind of consistent. But so if you ever see some weird anomaly, that sometimes it might have been me building it outside of Zach's parameters. What's that, Zach?
Oh no, I was just to give you a few more examples. So so B003 is going to be the list cleanup and management module, and so that one contains a workflow that fires off when contacts are dormant for like various different periods of time. And there's a lot of opportunity in there. You need to first set which pipeline you want to listen for them to be dormant on. But once you've set that, every time that they're dormant for 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, they'll get tagged. And so if you've built out like some of the nurture in B002, like the educational emails and stuff like that, whenever whenever someone's dormant for like 90 days or 60 days, or I mean, you could even start it sooner at like the 30-day mark. As soon as they have that like 30-day dormant tag, you could then add inside of the tag router once they've been dormant for 30 days, for example. You could then drop like one of the nurture tags in there and like kick off the nurture project process. So essentially just connecting this module to that one, like once they're inactive for X period of time, go ahead and start the nurture process. You could also do like a similar thing, like B014 is going to be like your refunds and cancellation module. And so like in the event that somebody like refunds or cancels, if you want to nurture them, you could, add one of your nurture tags to the tag router in B014, or even in B005 when they abandon cart, like if you want to start like a nurture cadence after abandoned cart cadence is complete, you could drop a nurture tag in the tag router there, like in B005. So anyway, just a few examples, like B007 also is going to be like, obviously where all the calendar mechanics happen. And so there's a lot of things that you might want to do like after a calendar appointment is complete, like if you are running nurture, like depending on the type of nurture that you're running and all that kind of stuff, like for example, like if you don't want somebody to receive like tips or educational emails in the event that they are now like a customer, like you might want to like remove them from workflows like inside B002, like on payment complete. So you go into the tag router for B005 and like remove, workflows that are occurring within B002. So anyway, so you just depending on like what niche you're in and stuff, you just want to kind of think through your user journey and say like, how do I want to pass them like to and fro between these modules? And so like what cadences do I want to start and end based on like where they're at in the flow? And so when we bundle this all together, like we'll build sort of like what we feel is like probably like the most common recipe of sorts that everything's connected in. But there's always going to be like a ton of variations. Like this is where all the customization comes in whenever people have wanted to customize the small business in the past and it's been really hard. It's because like we had kind of pre-assumed all these links. And so the second that somebody has like a different niche, they're like, oh, well, these links don't work for me, And so anyway, so I think it's still important even when we bundle them all together for people to understand how the connection points work through the tag routers, because that's kind of going to still be your door to customizing it yourself, for your own niche and stuff like that. So
Right. And then also when you guys push out like updates to, small business or any module, right? In terms of not breaking what's adding, like on our end, custom things, essentially if we add on to the tag router, like would the tag router never be updated, or like how exactly does that work so you don't break anything if you're pushing updates to modules? It would essentially all be through the tag router, right? And I assume that wouldn't change if I'm wrong, correct?
well, yeah, updates are tricky because like if we add things, then like those additional things will be added, but there's a lot of assets. Like anytime we push an update to you guys, like workflows are almost always going to duplicate. So like tags, custom values, custom fields will normally overwrite the pre-existing asset in the system, but there's a number of other assets that will just duplicate, like workflows will duplicate, pipelines will duplicate. And so to get like a really clean cut, like any modules that we update, I mean, normally what you want to do is flush your master accounts of like all of the assets for that particular module and move all the new assets in. And so it's like a high touch process. It's not very easy, unfortunately. I wish we, could make it easier for everybody, but when we send out the update links, you guys kind of have the option to decide like if you want to update your existing master accounts. If they're already linked to client accounts, then I would recommend doing that. But if they're not linked to any client accounts yet, then like you could even consider just completely collapsing your master account and like recreating it based on the new module links on update, that which would give you like the cleanest cut, you know. But when we send out the update, I'll put like a few like little blurbs in the email that goes out that just kind of is like, hey, this is our recommendation. Like, you know, if you're in this situation, do this. If you're in this situation, do this. And you guys might decide. I mean, the only thing that is like probably imperative for you to update is the funnels that we're sending out. And those are going to be pretty easy to just swap out. You can easily kind of delete funnels and put new funnels in. Because they're not linked to anything else in the system. They're linked by their URLs. And so long as the URLs, you know, remain the same in the custom values, it's pretty low impact. With respect to all the workflow updates and stuff though, you guys can decide, you know, if you think those updates are valuable enough to go through the effort of, you know, replacing that functionality in your master accounts, or maybe you decide to just build a new master account with the newer stuff and keep your older master account with the old stuff, you know, whatever
What
works
triggers
best for you guys.
for the workflows? What triggers the duplication? Because workflows should be overwritten. When does it go overwrite and when does it duplicate? Is it?
I'm curious of that as well. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, because don't workflows, don't they overwrite when you push out a snapshot? When we hit, if you hit refresh, it'll do it. But sorry, go on, jump in.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I think that if we so if we refresh the snapshot and send out new one-time links on the refresh, like that's the highest likelihood that they won't duplicate. If we recreate the snapshot and send out one-time links on the new snapshot, then I think HighLevel sees that it's a different snapshot ID than the previous one, and then most of the assets will be duplicated. So as a standard practice, we try to refresh all of our snapshots versus creating new ones and then generate new links on the refreshed snapshot. But HighLevel doesn't have any like printed material on like explicitly what creates duplicates versus not versus all that stuff. So it seems to be like a little intermittent, like what you can experience on the other side. I don't know if any of us have like been able to get it down to a science exactly on like how, you know, how it works. So
one thing that Zach's recently done too is he's implemented a change log system into our process. So that's going to be public, right? Like, or is that selectively public there, Zach? Like, hey, when we make some changes, here's the list of things, or is that just internally?
We'll probably take our internal list and clean it up.
Yeah.
Like, or make it more pretty, you know, when we send it out. But yeah.
So what that'll allow you to do is because it's a big jump to be able to push out snapshots, you'll be able to see the list of changes. And because we're going to be way more consistent since Zach's implemented this module system, you can look at the changes and go, okay, I just need to make these changes to keep my up. You know, it's like, I like these changes. These are, hey, this is going to fix things. This will improve things. I'm just going to manually update things versus, hey, this module's been completely changed. I'm going to start over with the newest update or et cetera. So you'll have that ability to be able to saying, hey, you'll know what changes are coming down and it'll be very kind of clear, like asset by asset. So if you want to just change a couple things, because a lot of changes you'll probably have fixed, you know, if there's something that wasn't completely right, or you wanted to customize it a bit, you'll have already done a lot of those things probably naturally. So you'll have that as a little change log soon too.
Gotcha. Yeah, the reason like I'm kind of asking about this too is like I definitely want to build it with, you know, first off scalability in mind, but also in terms of like in a way that, you know, when you guys do push updates, it will be the cleanest thing. So you can actually update those modules, but without, you know, affecting any custom things that we add on. So I do want to figure out like the best way to do that with regards to that.
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
Best way I've always had is you have a snapshot and have it, you have like a snapshot that's your clean master account where you don't do any edits, you don't do any testing, you don't do any kind of like, don't do your tests on the same account that is your snapshot. Push that snapshot out to a test account. So if you've done some changes, et cetera, to the snapshot, push it out to the account, see what those new changes are going to do. Does everything overwrite fine? Are there any anomalies that happen? Because oftentimes when you do the tests on the snapshot account, it all works fine. But then when you push the updates to your clients, you find all these extra things. So have a clean snapshot account, make all your changes, edit, push out the changes to this live test account so that all the changes, you can see how the interactions go. And then do your tests on that test account. That's a simplified version of it, but that's my way we would use to have a very clean, don't touch it snapshot account.
Now, Zach, a question. It's not going to overwrite workflows and everything with a different name. So if you're monkeying with a workflow and you want to have your change saved, you can just name it something else, and then it won't overwrite that. Is that correct?
I think so. I mean, that's what we've been testing. Is it appears as though, well, yeah, if you change the workflow name, then you're definitely going to get a duplicate coming in.
Yeah.
Now,
won't delete any of your changes, and you still have yours. Or your own.
Yeah, I think so. Like if you mirror the workflow and change, I mean, the second, like, I think the way HighLevel does it is based on like a workflow ID anyways. Like in the back end, I don't know if they're necessarily using the name of the workflow. I think like every workflow is ID'd. They don't make the workflow ID a forward facing number that we can, use, but even if you have like the workflow with the same name, but there's two instances of the workflow, then it appears as though they in the background have different IDs and, will not overwrite in that instance.
Right. Thanks.
Alrighty.
This is very deep and informative. Love it. Now I look forward to Mondays.
Good. I'm gonna give, let me see here 1 second. Ernie, I'll drop you a link real quick here.
Thanks, Zach.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see here. Just looking for it here.
Yeah, I tried to use the little chat bubble that's in our account and didn't work out too well.
Thanks for your help today. I got to scoot. See you guys.
Yep. See you later,
Bye,
Daryl. Let me know if that works out for you, Ernie. We have one of our kind of like senior support technicians sitting behind that link. Mike and I have been training him up with all the new snapshots, so he should be able to get you taken care of. But if for some reason you don't get your questions answered, let me know, and then we can I'll put you with someone who can.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. All right, guys, I got to shut it down for today, but I'll see you guys next Monday.
Thanks so
Awesome.
much.
Thanks so much.
You guys have a good week. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Want to learn Go High Level in a structured format? Check out the GHLacademy.com by Extendly. We guarantee to save you 6 months of wasted subscription costs for HighLevel. Just visit the GHLacademy.com.